Thank you so much. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Sadasiva Samarambam, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryandam, Vande Guru Paramparam. Om Sakanavavadu, Sakanopanattu, Sakativyam Karabhavagai, Tejasvina, Vadida Mustamavat Vishabhagai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham, Malam Sarirasya Cha Vaityagena, Yopa Kurottam Prapamam Muninam, Patanjali Pranjali Anatosmi. Good morning. So we would see this 18, 19, and 20 today so that we can come to the conclusion of the section. We just read once and then we take it forward. Vitarka Vichara Ananta Asmita Rupa Anugamat Samprajnatah.
Vitarka Vichara Ananda Asmita Rupa Anugamat Samprajnatah.
Everything is in Eka Shabdam, but anyways, to understand, we can read word by word. Virama Pratyaya Abhyasa Purvaka Nastara Sesho Anyaha.
Virama
Pratyaya Abhyasa Purva Samskara Sesha Anyaha.
Bhavat Pratyayo Videha Prakriti Layanam.
Bhavat Pratyayo Videha Prakriti Layanam.
Shraddha Virya Smriti Samadhi Prajna Purvaka Itaresham.
Shraddha Virya Smarate Purvaka Itaresham.
I think once we know the words, then we'll be very easy to understand. So by studying the Sutra 17, we come to the point of Samprajnata Samadhi. Remember that? The whole purpose of yoga sadhana is to attain what we want to attain. That's very important. So there was a question on the WhatsApp. Is it therefore just the mind control? Yes, it is, but it is not just the mind control, because mind control means converting the mind who is bossing over us to be the excellent tool or sevaka for us. Because we know that in life, every execution, every thought, every action, every word is a function of the mind. Therefore, if the mind is not in the control of the executor, which is us, we go haywire. So if you have a car that is driven by automated function of the software, and if it takes on its own course, we won't go where we want to go. Therefore, the study of Patanjali Yoga Sutra and practicing that is for the universal good. Whatever you want to do in life, it is going to exercise your mind. Of course, our goal is to look for spiritual progress. So the question may come, well, I am not really inclined to be the so-called spiritual person now, but I have the worldly affairs to meet. It doesn't matter, because if you are practicing training for an Olympic run or a marathon, your fitness to climb the loft or lifting a little weight is going to be a byproduct of it. Is it not? Therefore, having a spiritual progress as a goal in our sadhanas automatically makes us fit for purpose in our worldly affairs. So therefore, never ever think that any spiritual pursuit that you take deliberately spending time or effort, there is an opportunity cost. No, it is not. Because it is actually developing us in the worldly life. So that is the point I wanted to make, so that you don't feel that it is not a waste of time. Then he said, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. We understood. Then he said, remember, Abhyasa Vairagyapyam Tan Nirodhaka. So then he also said, to have the Nirodham, regulation of the mind, you need Abhyasam and Vairagyam. We learned that. Then he said, Abhyasam should be of certain caliber. He has not taught us what to be practiced, because that is Sadhana Pada, chapter 2. So we have not learned from Patanjali so far what is the tools I must exercise. But he's only teaching about the importance of exercise. And he gave some qualities that you should be interesting, fully involved, ananda, everything he said. Then Vairagyam, he also said, in different stages of Vairagyam. Then we come to the two important categories of Vairagyam, the Apara Vairagyam and Para Vairagyam. Vairagyam means what? Focused dispassion. That you choose what you need to be involved with. Everything else is aside. So anything that you want to do, you focus only on that. That's focused dispassion. Then we said Apara Vairagyam. Apara Vairagyam is literally a lower form of Vairagyam, but it is actually meaning a relative dispassion. That means in the world of affairs. So by doing Apara Vairagyam, progressively you achieve a Samadhi. Here Samadhi means a state of mind which is truth-bearing and tranquil. Because having the mind clear and truth-bearing is the goal. And then we've gone through different stages of this. Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, and Asmita. So whenever we say Samadhi, we can take it as a state of mind after achieving certain goals. So here, the dhyanam is a sadhana. We're going to see Ashtanga Yogam. We're going to see 8 sadhanas in the chapter 2. There you're going to see Samadhi also as a sadhana. There you can take Samadhi as an absorption. See, if you want to attain something, what is attaining means? Attaining means, perfect attainment means you are one with that. What do you mean? So if I am attaining an apple, a fruit apple, I see it, I attain in my eyes, I smell it, attain through my senses, I hold it, attaining my touch. In everything I have got attainment, but still it's not complete because it is still away from me. So what is attainment then? I eat it. What happens to the apple then? Apple becomes me. There's no apple. Apple becomes me. If the part is digested, I am the apple. I am Annamaya Kosha. That's why we say Annamaya Kosha. So this gross body, apple has got an ability to absorb into our gross body, and the rasam goes into our sushma body. That's it. So the attainment, therefore, you become one with something. So therefore, yoga abhyasam is to attain anything in life. You become one with that. To become one means absorption. The absorption of the subtle things in the nature is Samadhi. So absorption is, as a sadhana, is Samadhi. But to absorb that, you should only have that in your mind. Everything else should not be in the mind. But mind is not really letting you have that free hand. Therefore, you choose what you want to have continuously, called dharana. You're going to see that later. When you're having a dharana, just having that thought in your mind, something else comes and completes my mind. Therefore, I focus and dissuade them. That process is called dhyana. We saw that. So dhyana means the perpetual battle to retain what we need to retain. And when you retain it, the absorption becomes clear. Then you are in a samadhi. So then we've gone through that. We absorb through the vitarkam, vicharam. We saw that in the last class. Vitarkam means take an example to walk through it. You can think about your worldly objective, or you can spiritual objective. But our goal is always spiritual objective. What is the spiritual objective? Do you remember? Very simple. Not attaining God. God we do not know. Patanjali has not talked about Ishvara so far. But we come from Vedanta. It is to know about ourselves. Because if you do not know, you become vritti sarubhyam. Whatever you think, you become that. So you may say, look, I want a peace of mind. You take a flight and go to Rishikesh and sit in a banks of river Ganges. You sit there, close your eyes. Your relatives comes into mind. Your problems come into mind. Your office comes to mind. So you are that. Whatever you are thinking, you are carrying all this with you. So sarupyam has to be yourself. So that is our goal. So to do that, we go to the Guru. Guru says, look, you can't focus it yet. Let us take this Ishta Devata. So you take the Rama picture or Krishna's picture. Vitarka Dhyanam we do. And at some stage you get absorbed in this. When you're absorbed into that, for a moment you even lost that absorption. You forget that image. You get from Sabitarka to Nirvitarka. Because we said everything with the alambanam is sabijam. We are holding on it. But we do go through the little process where we give up the alambanam. But we are not able to hold on to it. We are afraid. We come out of it. Or somebody else will tell you, oh, don't get absolved, come back. So we go into this kind of a nirvitarkam and come back to vitarkam. But when you go to nirvitarkam, that's a time we seek to elevate ourselves. Well, I'm able to get absorption. Can I now not worry about this idol? Because I want to be in the absorption when I am in the train, when I am traveling to my office, or when I am in the place where I don't have the idol to worship. Then you take the Kalyana Gunas. So the Guru says, okay, now think about Karunyam, Prem. So you learn how to absorb on this. You learn the Dhyanam. You go through the meditative process. Again, that Kalyana Guna of Lord Venkatesha in your mind, absolve, and some stage, the Guna just goes away. You feel a kind of a bliss that Patanjali says is rapturous bliss. It's kind of an ecstasy. It is not a Swarupa yet. It's not a Sachidananda yet. It is kind of a bliss that is inexplicable. Many-fold, like Taittiriya Upanishad talks about, many-fold of what you can even imagine in this thing. Then that is a time you some people just think that is fine, that I got my nirvana, then they go away. You're not. Then you still ask the Guru. Guru say, yeah, give up now. Think about who is that feeling that anandam in you. Remember, all this time, you know this change is happening to you. This is not theory. No, this is the theory. This is for some sannyasis to practice. No, this is for somebody else. We are wasting our time studying this. It's for us. You and I have to really experience this. But when you have that kind of thing, you always know my mind is experiencing it. That's why it's called sabijam, samprajnatam. Therefore, you are able to tune, yes, I'm feeling this wondrous ecstasy. The Guru says, well, now ask the question, who am I feeling this ecstasy? The moment you ask the question, ecstasy remains, but your contemplation, your dhyana moves into as me, I am. So that is so when you are reaching this stage with the Atma Jnanam, Atma Swarupam, Sakshatkaram it's called, just knowing your true self as the goal, you attain Samprajnana Samadhi and you are ready to move towards a Nirbija Samadhi or the Asamprajnana Samadhi. So you would transcend into the Asamprajnana Samadhi. This is up to now we saw in the Sutra 17. Now we need to understand by studying Sutra 18 what is the Asamprajnana Samadhi. But there are a few things which Patanjali does not tell you. So we need to understand this is not a very straightforward transition. It's not like, you become age 10 and you become age 11 because without effort, you become 11. Here it is not. Because when you are in the Samprajnata Samadhi, when you achieve this status, many things happens in you. Many things happens in you, around you, in all your relationship. It happens. Happens means it is not your effort, it happens. Therefore, how you handle what is happening to you would decide whether you are transiting to Asamprajnana Samadhi or not. But you may say, look, I am not a spiritual person. I am not really interested in this moksha business. But I heard about this yoga and other techniques to improve the mind. Nowadays, even the medical science advises this. It became a scientific pattern. So I like science. Science tells me to manage your mind. Therefore, I take this course. So therefore, I see all this you are saying, contemplation, step-by-step progression. I take all this. Don't I get this samadhi? Of course you will get. So you can forget about Atma, forget about Purusha, forget about Swami, God, but you can systematically sit down, control your body, control your mind, think about focusing your thoughts, Chitta Nirodham, you say, be a good person, of course. Okay, you can be a good person without inviting God, because I told you, guys, if you are a good person, you don't invite God. God will come uninvited to you. So being a good person is more important than looking for God. In fact, you cannot look for God if you're not a good person. So I am a good person. I'm not worried about God. I have no time for him. But I do this yoga practice. Don't I get the Samprajnana Samadhi? Well, you will get a Samadhi. So Patanjali, they are going to talk about this after explaining the Asamprajnana Samadhi. Therefore, the sutra following the Asamprajnana Samadhi is a slight detour, and many of the scholars, even the very learned persons, have given a meaning which is not very conducive. So we will take what Vyasa gives, what the Vedantis give, which makes it very comfortable. But don't worry, because we will be very easily, we'll pass through, because the way we have learned so far puts it in a very good condition. So we can just sail through. So we'll see. So therefore, what we need to understand, you cannot move into the asamprajnana samadhi if you are not having an approach to the yoga. That is about Atma Jnana. Right. Now let us see what is that next sutra. Virama Pratyaya Abhyasa Purvaka Samskara Seshonyah. So let us see literal meaning of word by word. Let's take the last word. Samskara Seshonyah. That's a sandhi. If you remove the sandhi, Samskara Seshaka Anyaha. Anyaha means the other. So we are talking, we just finished Samprajnana Samadhi. So what is the other? Samprajnana Samadhi. Therefore, this sutra is giving the lakshya. This is going to talk about the Asamprajnana Samadhi. Okay, simple. To do that, what we need, the requirement therefore is Virama Pratyaya. So the word Virama generally means free of, holiday, yeah, vacation, holiday. Pratyaya is the generally concept. Here it is a reason, on account of. So on account of the holiday of what? So this is where when you are learning sutras, many gaps will be there. We need to fill up the gaps. That's why we take the Bhashyakaras to explain to us. That's the reason why Brahma Sutra, for example, give you so many different interpretations. But here it's very simple. We are talking about Chitta Vritti. So Virama Pratyaya means giving holiday to the Vrittis. So we put the word Vrittis there. So Virama Pratyaya means on account of cessation of, stopping of thoughts. What kind of thoughts? No, we never said we are going to be empty mind. Empty mind is useless mind. But we said thoughts which are klishtaha. Remember? Klishta and klishta. And klishta is thoughts which are harmless. They can come there. I want to go moksha, that's fine. But klishta thoughts. Therefore, Virama Pratyaya means a situation where you are given holiday to all the thoughts. Go away, come back, don't come back. Go for a long-term holidays. Don't bother me anymore. That means you are in a state of affairs where you really don't have any thoughts that will trouble you. Thoughts that trouble you lead to samsara. That means I am able to be dispassionate about all the worldly affairs. Everything that will give me trouble, I will be dispassionate about. Therefore, I can say Virama Pratyaya means Paravairagya. So Paravairagya is a dispassion by which you have no thoughts that will put you into samsara. This is very important. In Aparavairagya, it is not. So Paravairagya is completely void of thoughts. You may ask the question, give an example of a thought. I have to think about doing some work. Well, do the work. You need to think about that. Thoughts will come to do the work. But how can I be Virama Pratyaya? Well, the thought is doing itself. You have nothing to do with this. Because you do the job as Karma Yoga. This is where the Karma Yoga comes in. Karma Yoga is not just closing the eyes and counting the fingers. Karma Yoga is doing what you have to do as a duty, as an obligation, without expecting a return, without having any attachment to it. I help you. I expect that you will be grateful to me. Then I am not doing Karma Yoga. I have an attachment, I have an expectation. This attachment, if you don't do you are not grateful to me, then I become angry, samsara. Or I do it, I don't expect anything from you, but by doing it, I have a sense of gratification. I have a sense of fulfillment. Again, this is an expectation. Why? Tomorrow, I couldn't find anybody to help. I remember I met a sadhu in Rishikesh, and he was just traveling there, and I was very curious to talk to them and find out their mind, because there are many things you can learn. But interestingly, he was telling, I was telling about our satsang and how we spent time, and suddenly his eyes lit up, and he said, you were very lucky to have people to talk about these matters. Here I can't. You see, he is a very evolved soul, but he's the tabam, because he's renunciated, he's wandering around. Sometimes thoughts come to his mind. He want to give it to share it to somebody, but he couldn't find anybody. Tabam. That tabam also puts samsara, because that is an intense vasana. You'll become a great teacher and come back to the world and teach somebody. But here, everything is given up. That is paravairagya. Can anybody live there like this? Of course. You don't need to have a brain for it. Look at the tree. You can throw a stone at it, you can cut your branches. It'll flower, it'll give you fruit. It is meant to giving you fruits. It's meant to give you shades. So God is giving you that you can be yourself. Just be natural. That's what Karma Yoga is. See, it's a very difficult question to get the Paravairagya. It is not about doing yogas and yajnas and Sahasranama mantra, Rudra Japam 200 times, 2000 times. You won't get Paravairagya. You may get some bhakti, you may get some good heart, good mind. Paravairagyam can only come through Karma Yoga. That's why Krishna is teaching Karma Yoga as a primary topic. It teaches everything, come back to Karma Yoga. The way to do that is, imagine, I give another example. I think it's important. I spent 5 minutes on it. If you give me if you give me money or if you give me anything, you expect something, right? Imagine you are paying your mortgage. You struggle to pay the mortgage, but this is the last mortgage, last annuity to pay. The bank is closed. You want to pay. You look for the day to open, or you look for online. What are you trying to do? You're trying to give the money away. Why? Because you will feel you discharge an obligation, a relief. The moment money is paid, you get such a fulfillment. Nothing is going, bank is not going to say thank you very much. The money is not going to be returned back to you. But that is how you do every task in your life. As if it is an obligation, indispensable obligation, have to retire this obligation. But by doing it, you get happiness. Now, once you're able to do it, here the Paravidya says, even the gratification, happiness you get, give up. Okay? How do I do that? Abhyasa Purvaka. Because had you passed through this previous stage of Abhyasa Vairagyam, step-by-step Vairagyams on it. Purvaka means preceded by, conditioned by, Abhyasa. You will get. So therefore, the Virama Pratyaya is the sadhyam, achievement. Abhyasam is the sadhanam. So if you do this, eventually you get what? Your mind becomes Virama Pratyaya, thoughtless. Remember, when I say thoughtless, thoughts that will lead into samsara. You're still an intelligent person. You'll be still active in this world. You do things, but there is no thoughts that causes you to samsara. So therefore, your mind becomes clean, clear. Antakarana is very pure. But samskaras. Remember samskaras? We talked about it. Samskaras are the thoughts that are highly intense, where you had attachment to. And they get into a deeper part of your mind. Those samskaras remain. So that's what's called samskara sesha. Sesha means what is left over. Bhagavan's prasadam is called visesham. Because after Bhagavan eating, they're giving you. That's what we call visesham. Sesham is left over. Here samskara sesha. So what is left over in that person's mind is samskaras that are left over. You remember that we discussed about vrittis. Vrittis are coming from the Vishaya, the five senses bring vrittis, and samskara. So we have two kinds of attack. Vishayas come. Oh, I see that girl, I see this boy, I see this luxurious car. Vishayas. Then I don't have money, I am jealous, I am greed, I am anger. Samskaras to bring in. So both brings in thoughts. Now we say the external thoughts have nothing to do with me. So we are virama, given the holiday to them. What about the samskaras? Here, Patanjali indicates those samskaras are seshaha ineffective. They are there. They need to be got rid of, they need to be burnt, but they are getting flame-worthy. What do you mean by that? What I mean by that is that those samskaras are roasted in the paravairagya, in the jnana, the atma jnana. See, the paravairagya happens to you means there is something happened in parallel. What is it happen parallel? How can you reject everything as not important in life? Not indispensable. Not that you don't want to engage with this, because that you need to deal with this because you are in the world of objects, but you don't get entangled with this. That confidence that you have because of one important knowledge. What is that? Mithyatvam. Everything is temporal. Everything is passing by. They are not real. Because you have that Atma Jnanam, that flame of Atma Jnanam We haven't got the Atma Sakshatkar. We do not know, we do not realize the Atma yet. But we know that everything other than me is temporal, impermanent. That Jyoti, that fire, burns the samskaras. Roast them. Like, you have some peas there, green peas, and it fell on the ground, and the sun is giving a gentle energy, and the earth is giving nourishment. You'll see suddenly a tree, a little plant flourishing. But take that seed and roast it in the pan. It will not grow. So the samskaras are roasted seeds in the jnana that you have. Therefore, the samskaras may be existing in me. It will almost as if it is burnt. But it will be burnt. If the yogi wishes, it will be burnt. You will see later. But it has no effect on it. So when you are at that stage where you have the paravairagyam, using abhyasa, you only samskarams are remaining, you are there. That is called asamprajnata samadhi. So therefore, asamprajnata samadhi is not samadhi where you close your eyes and sit down. You might as well do when you do dhyana. This is where the Arjuna got questioned. The chapter 3, when Bhagavan says he is the Siddha Prajnan, we call him Siddha Prajnan. One who's got a sthitam, means stay put on the prajna. What prajna? Atmajnana prajna. Steady, absorption. Arjuna is asking, well, how does a person, like a child is asking, like us, he's asking question, how does he look like? When you watch a movie of a great hero, I'm sure everybody would have wanted to be a Krishna, Rama, or Sita. When you watch the movie, you see that heroes and you want to be them, right? So Arjuna wants to be that Siddha Prajna. It's interesting. He doesn't want to fight, right? Krishna is talking about great things in life, and who is the Siddha Prajna? How does he look like? How does he eat? How does he sit down? How does he talk? How does he eat? What does he eat? He asks lots of questions. So therefore, the asamprajnana samadhi is a state of affairs of a Siddha Prajnan who's wandered around this world, who does what he needs to do in a state of extreme pious and tranquility. Okay. This is where we finish here, both samadhis. Now comes this particular sutra, which is kind of a bit of a diversion, because he's going to talk about bhava pratyaya samadhi and upaya pratyaya samadhi. Confusion, right? And in the order of sequence, some people, even some great scholars of the 14th century, took the next sutra as a further subdivision to asamprajnana samadhi and so on and so forth. Even if you go to some of the books on the internet, and they give a very different explanation, confusing sometimes, but at least for me. So don't worry about that. We will understand. Now let's take a step back before go to the sutra. What about those people? Now let's use the word yogi for anybody practicing yoga, which is wrong, but let's use it right now. For Patanjali and Shankara and Vyasabhashyakara and Bhagavan, yogi is the one. In fact, Bhagavan says in the 6th chapter, yogi is superior to tapasvi, superior to jnani, superior to everybody else, because he treats yogi to be the one who gone through everything to asamprajnata samadhi. So yogi is the one who accomplished it. But before we understand, let's just take yogi is the one who is seriously practicing yoga, because we need a word for him, right? Yoga abhyasi or yogi. Now we come across 3 different kinds of people. One person, but he may go into 3 different modes. First one is like me who, okay, I don't want moksha. I just want to be a happy life. I want everything to make me look stronger, better. Can yoga do it? I'll take it up. So this is the person, a yogi, who does not desire moksha as per se. Some may say, I don't know moksha. Maybe okay, I can desire for it and start using that. While doing this, and they get a lot of power. Power does come. So I told you, if you clean the window, you see better. I can't see beyond my garden. So Uma cleans up the window, it looks polished. Now I can see the neighbor's garden. Have my vision gone up? Have I become superior in my knowledge? Absolutely not. My instrument become cleaner. So when you do yoga, when your mind becomes clearer, you attain powers which you never imagine you have. It is nothing to do with you, because you are able to see, because you got a better instrument which you never utilized before. We utilize less than 0.9% of your mind. So Patanjali giving you maybe 5%, do better with the cleaning of the mind. That itself gives you lots of powers. So when the power comes in, you think, well, moksha can wait. Let me enjoy this. Or they may even think misguided, maybe this is moksha because I'm able to read your mind. And somebody says, you take this yoga and do 8 years of practice, you can walk on the water. Why? You go there and meditate, practice it, you walk on the water. You call yourself yogi, you call it Jala Yogi. You put a name there, Jala Yogi, available to exhibit my skills. You are of inspiring. But what does he give you? I mean, if you give him 10 feet to the boatman, he's going to take you across the river. You don't need to waste your time on it. Or even you can walk on this water, but you haven't learned how to escape the crocodile when you walk on the water. So you walk on the water, you get caught in a crocodile. You see, the power will give you a risky path. So you cannot handle it. So there are those who get into yogas and then they move away from this. So that's the second type. The third type is the one who said, my goal is to get some prajna samadhi the way it is. So that is the true aspirant of it. But we are not there yet. So let us say we are beginning to understand the value of yoga. We genuinely, like Arjuna, we try to be perfect in our life. So our battle is every day. So Kurukshetra is not just in the outside. Kurukshetra is between your relatives, your own clan, Kuru clan. So all over, if you look at all over fight, we are not fighting against somebody in Machu Picchu. No, we fight against our own people, own friend, family. Strange, isn't it? So you fight with whom you live together. That's a different topic anyway. So we understand we want to be better. So we take yoga. So we are taking up these lessons. We go to gurus, we learn. We even attain Vitarka Samadhi. We leave those people who are not coming into this, right? We leave them who live a good life. They die. At some day, everybody had to die. And we learned in Vedanta, you die, you go and come back to the world again. We don't worry about them. But we worry about those who started doing yoga. Arjuna is asking in chapter 6, that's why I also suggested in the Thank you. We are going to learn that chapter 6. And before that, even Arjuna asked, I think in chapter 6, he asked Bhagavan, he learned that he needs to do something to become a yogi, but he's going to fight. Or even if he doesn't fight, he's already 30 years or 34 years and he's going to die. So he asked the question, so look, I trust you. I start learning all these things. What happens? I die before I complete my part. Krishna says, don't worry. You will come back. When you come back into, you'll come back to the world. But you come back to the world with the memory of what you achieved in the last Janma. That's why you see prodigies, somebody, I know this chap called Little Nardeshwaram, and a chap in Tamil Nadu, and he plays piano like a monster. Young age, prodigy. Bhagavan says, when you're born into this family, tatratam buddhi sanyogam labhate pauvadekikam. Tatra, then, thereafter, that person, wherever he is born, he's born in the right family. If you are now want to be a mathematician, and then that's where your absorption, your dhanam was, when you're born in another family, where it is conducive for you, that buddhi sanyoga means that remembrance will come, labhade, that will be a gain. Purva dekyam, from the last janma, the last body. Then what you do? Bhuyaha. Again, Sansidau Kurunandana. Arjuna, Sansidau, you will start perfecting it. Yatate, you strive. You will take up that. Without you knowing it, that's why you will begin from a step ahead of it. So I think this is the kind of assurance given to Arjuna that nothing goes waste. And Patanjali say the same thing. Nothing goes waste in the spiritual life, in any life. So therefore, even if you do something, I'm 80 years old, I'm going to learn yoga. Yes, you can learn in 1 week or in 1 hour or maybe in many janmas. But whatever effort you put in will be stored for you in samskaras. It'll come back to you and then you continue. So now I'm taking that Bhagavan's point to bring a context here. In Patanjali's context, remember we saw 4 samadhis: Vitarkam, Vicharam, Anandam, and Asmita. The Vitarkam and Vicharam is a very evolved state of samadhi where you contemplate on the object of contemplation. That's what we should aim for first. So when we are on that stage, we come back to this world, born in a right family, with the right atmosphere to progress it further. But when we have progressed, and I am in a kind of a Ananda Samadhi, remember that? What is Ananda Samadhi? We have the mastery over the senses. We have the ecstasy, rapturous ecstasy, always happy. Ananda Samadhi. So there is a risk. Now you have given up taking anything on it. You think this is what the salvation is. But when you die that time, because you are now beyond this stage of objective orientation, you become a celestial being. You become a Gandharva, Indra. Anybody with astral body. You control now, you manipulate the manifestations. So the Vyasa says, Ativakika Sharira. This basically your subtle body is now become independent of any gross body cravings. you become a super being, always happy. So that is the stage you become. Now these are the devas, these are the Gandharvas, these are the Indras. But they are also trapped in the samsara. That's the reason why in the Puranas you see Indra is, he's worried about nobody takes his job away. If somebody is holding the breathing and controlling and in tapas, he will send his subtle energies in the form of apsaras and rambas and urvashis and dance in front of the guy, make him fall from his samadhi. Because he hasn't really given up mithyatvam. He's not an Atma Jnani. Remember the story of Vishwamitra and Vasishta. Vishwamitra attained Ananda Samadhi. He is able to become a subtle manipulator. He can do anything. He can create his own world. He went on, created his own universe. He created heaven for a disciple, Trishanku. All that is for what? To show that I can do that. This is where you move away from your asampragnata samadhi. I told you the second type of person. See, the powers come to you because they see you as a good source to serve others. Because your mind is pure. Like I was giving an example of the Mahatma in Rishikesh who wanted to look for somebody to share his knowledge, because the knowledge is like a pregnant woman, it's delivery to happen. It should deliver to somebody. Same way, the devatas are wanting to give. No divine, no deity, no devatas are giving you harm. They don't want to harm you. They want to give you things, but you are not able to hold on to what they are giving. So, but when you are able to hold on, that means you show a very beautiful mind, they pour on it. Like water, when the water is flowing, if you stop it, what does the water do? It is not saying, okay, thank you very much and stay there. No. Water means flow. Jala is chala. Keep on going. So what does it do? It will find another way. So nature is to flow, nurture, nourish. So when the yogi's mind is pure, these devatas find the pure mind and pour into it their power. So you become powerful. For what? To use the powers to serve, to do karma yoga. If you're an embodied person, the power comes to you, serve it. It's not your power. This is where Vishwamitra got mistaken. So he passed away. So Vasishtha says, you are not a Brahmarishi. Because Brahmarishi means what? Paravairagyam, Brahmajnanam. All this kind of magic, don't care. But you go through this. But you also get a samadhi. There are people who can practice it, and I've seen a person who can put the head down inside the pit there for 1 hour. How does he breathe? Then there are the third stage, fourth stage of samadhi. What is that? Asmita samadhi. When you come to Asmita samadhi, there also things happen. Because the Maya is not going to let you go. The whole game is to play this game of duality. Now you are trying to transcend this Maya, Prakriti. Maya says last time, okay, I'll give you this enormous power. And you are not listening to it, still focusing on it. Then it says, wraps you in its blanket of avidya. So you are lying inside the Prakriti. Bhagavan is going to say in Gita, Prakriti Layana. So you become, so when you look at the second person who becomes a Deva, he is better than the embodied soul in this world, but he is still within the confines of space and time. He manipulates them. He creates his own world, but he is still within the bounds of it. But the one who gone through this Aspita Samadhi, but not having Atma Jnanam, transcend this manifestation, but trapped in the unmanifest state. He also has Samadhi called Jada Samadhi. He can be there. For 2000 years, he can be there. And when he gets up, is he a god? Don't know. Why? What vritti is going to come into his mind? That's the reason why Ravana can do tapas for thousands of years. When the Lord comes to him, asking for very cheap things, let me not get killed by, a deva or an animal, or Hiranyakasipu asking for stupid things. Because tapas, samadhi has nothing to do with Atma Jnanam. But Atma Jnanam got everything to do with samadhi. So this difference you must understand, because this is what the next sutra is going to talk about it. I will say that very quickly so that you come to a logical break. Bhavat pratyayo videha prakriti layana. So here, this is why I think people get confused. There's nothing to do with the asamprajnana samadhi. Here he defines, you may reach a stage of samadhi in samprajnana state, but that is not samprajnana, because there your absorption happen using the alambanam of bhava. Bhava means existence, samsara. I just take 5 minutes to close this one. So here there are three important words. One is videha. Videha is the one who don't have the body. I just now explained to you, so it's easy for you to understand. The yogis who reached a state of being in a subtle energy form, they are videgas. You can take it as a devas, celestial beings. Then those who are not worried about celestial manifestation, they transcend that because their vairagyam is bigger. They've gone into the asmita state of samadhi, but they don't have the atma jnanam blossoming. Therefore, they go into the prakriti. They are prakriti layana. You may ask a question. Well, I mean, he learned atma jnanam, he understands all this. Then how come it is not driving them to this? If this question come to a mind, means you are following it. It is because of two things which Patanjali has not talked about it. What is one? Well, I said that it didn't occur to me that I should look at the Atma Jnanam. I went on this power. It's because there is nobody to tell me, well, this Ananda Samadhi or Aspita Samadhi is not moksha. Who's supposed to tell this to me? The Guru. Therefore, Guru Kadaksham, Guru's advice, steer is always needed. That's why Vishwamitra has to run to the Bhishma, Vasishta. So Guru is important part. But how does you get a Guru? You say you look at the website or the advertisement pages? No. Only person who can give you the Guru is God. So God has taken a very simple job in his life. He is not creating, he is not giving you this and that. Creation is all our own mind. We saw that. Getting something is not his job. It is our own karma. What does he do? He is going to give you the Guru. This is strange, isn't it? We go to the Guru asking for God. But what does the Guru does? Simple. Guru gives the God. You understand? So if you want to get God, you should get the Guru. And the Guru will give the God. So far, Patanjali has not talked about Guru, talked about Ishvara. Therefore, there is a possibility that a sincere student like you and I, when you take this and learn, practice, we may get the powers and we may become a Videka when we die, or we become a Prakriti Laya. Both are samsari. One may have a fantastic life for a few years, few yugas, and born again. Or other one can be with the Prakriti until the evolution happens again. Both we don't want. That's not liberation. The reason for this is, as we discussed, Ajnanam is the focus. Therefore, the alambanam, here bhava means you can take ajnanam, avidya. Therefore, the samadhi you get by this, following the rules of the samprajnana samadhi, when you attain this, don't say, I got samprajnana samadhi. You get bhava pratyaya samadhi. Bhava pratyaya means, bhava means manifestation, or samsara, or ajnana. Ajnana as an alambanam. Because what do you want to do? You always want to manifest, do something. So bhava pratyaya is a samprajnana samadhi. Is the kind of samprajnana samadhi, but not samprajnana samadhi that accrues to the bodiless devas. So the important insight here is that that's why Devendra has to come into the world and born as human being to become a mumukshu. So therefore, Narajanmam Durlapam, the human birth is the most precious birth. The gods, the celestial beings are literally longing to come into this world. So they are busy spending their punyas in swargas. The piturs are spending their karmas in the pitur lokas. All wanted to come back to this world. And that's why our birth is a very precious birth. I think we stop it here. And then the next class we take it up. Let's recite the Shanti Padam. Let's do it together. Let's start now. Om Ashadoma Gamaya Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raja.
Thank you.